I was diagnosed with an extremely rare appendiceal stage 3 cancer. It's like, you're gonna go meet a doctor who's gonna do an integrative approach to chemotherapy. It's like, hey, nice to meet you. I hope this works. I might die if it doesn't. All right, guys, we are on our way to the Nevada clinic to see Dr. Shallenberger and team. I'm here with my dad slash my, what would you call you?
I'm your main support person right now.
That's for sure.
Outside of your wife, but she has to take care of your gym. So.
No, of course. It's day one of actually going to the Nevada clinic and meeting everyone. I do feel an internal, there's a heaviness inside me, but also an excitedness to get this ball rolling. So we'll take the journey together and we'll see what we learn. It should be good.
Turn right onto Woodridge Way, then turn left onto Second Creek Drive.
Well, we're here at the Nevada clinic.
Yes, we are.
Any thoughts on your mind before we go in?
Yeah, I had a crazy thought though. You got a port placed for your IV therapy, and then you went and did some crazy CrossFit stuff. I'm just hoping it works.
Oh, you're hoping I didn't hurt it?
Yeah.
I mean, I specifically asked my surgeon if I could go
I know
do
you did,
CrossFit.
and your surgeon went against the standard recommendations of no exercise.
Well, but who does going against the recommended guidelines sound like to you? It's so weird going into different appointments and treatments and therapies and meeting different providers with the idea, or at least the notion lingering over the situation, that you might die if this stuff doesn't work. It's just so different than anything else that I've ever experienced in my life. Like, there's no other doctor's appointment that I've ever been to where it's just like, hey, you know, you hurt your knee, we're gonna go meet a specialist, he's great with knees. Or, oh, you've been struggling with stomach issues, we're gonna go meet a doctor. You know what her thing is? Gastrointestinal issues. She's gonna help you with your microbiome. Just insert whatever appointment. There's always like a hormone doctor that can help you get that line. It's like, you're gonna go meet a doctor who's gonna do an integrative approach to chemotherapy. The mainstream approach says blast your body with half the lethal dose of traditional colon cancer.
Maximum tolerated
dose. Tolerated dose, whatever.
Which can be half the lethal dose.
Right
about that.
But it's just like, but we're going to go in and meet this guy, and there's all this shit I do not understand. I have no idea what's coming, but I do know that my life could hang in the balance of it. It just creates such a strange human experience for me. It's like, hey, nice to meet you. I hope this works. I might die if it doesn't.
So what I've been reflecting on one thing that a pivot from what you just said. So when you get a cancer diagnosis, and it's not a great one, right? So you've got, in your case, it's an aggressive one. It's like, I could die, right? You've said that.
I seem to be the only one who wants to talk about the death thing.
I'm okay acknowledging the fact that it's a possibility. So even though we're going to fight it hard, here's what I'm challenged with.
Okay.
Everything I look at as far as the various things we can do. Mainstream is surgery, you've done it. Chemo, we're going to do it. And radiation, it's not indicated at this time.
At this time, right.
But the chemo part, and this is where, viewers who are watching this are going, he's crazy. You should just go get blasted with chemo.
Regular chemo, yeah.
And the thing is, when you do the research, and we've researched with multiple different oncology experts. And there are two sides to the story of what's the most effective, least dangerous,
way of using chemo,
most likely to give you a good outcome way of doing chemo. What we're having here is insulin potentiated dosing. So you can give a lower dose, but because you starve the cancer cells, I mean, you've been fasting. By tomorrow you get your first chemo dose. You'll have been fasting. Those cancer cells are starved. Then
you give them insulin.
Then they give insulin to drive the sugar even lower. Then they inject the chemo with sugar solution, and the cancer cells go, I'm going to die if I don't eat sugar. And then they ingest what's going to kill them. It's ingenious, but nevertheless, it's not mainstream, so it's not, quote, approved. And so then back to the mortality thing, if you did standard chemo and you died, nobody's going to question you.
No.
You did what you were supposed to do.
Right.
But if you do anything alternative and you die, everybody's going to go
blame the alternative.
Right.
And for not doing
what an idiot
chemo.
that he didn't, you know. And so for the viewers, all I say is we are going through all of this with the utmost care and careful consideration of all our options.
Of course.
And
this isn't a suggestion channel. Like,
no, we're not suggesting you do what we're doing.
Hell, like I'm going into everything with like a like insulin potentiated. I hope it works. Regular chemo. Like do nothing at all. Like, all of it makes me go like,
Yeah.
The idea of this though is less stressful than regular chemo.
Absolutely.
Because it's 3 weeks long.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have regular chemo as a backup plan.
Just
anyway.
ready to go. We could literally jump onto that bandwagon.
And we've got markers we can follow. So it's not like we're going through this blind and we're just hoping.
God,
we have so many tools at our disposal. We're seeing some real experts. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share, and a couple more sips of coffee and we'll go see what we can learn.
Let's see what we can learn. So I'm in Dr. Frank Shallenberger's office right now. We were going to see a different doctor who then found out about my cancer, and he said, okay, if that's what you have going on, go see this guy. So we're seeing the guy that a really renowned doctor said he would want to see if he were lucky enough to have my cancer. So hopefully that counts for something. Fingers crossed. He went to medical school, that's good. So we're in the back here, we're about to get my blood drawn. So it's just a blood draw, and we're not gonna access my port today. Day one at the Nevada Center was all about getting a general baseline, blood work baseline, general health and wellness baseline, and what you're going to see here is a heart function baseline. They pulled me in the back of their office to do an EKG. This is a test that basically just assesses the health and function of my heart. EKG is important before doing something like insulin potentiated therapy because IPT uses insulin to lower your blood sugar. So insulin affects electrolyte balances and heart function. The EKG will ensure that my heart is in good condition to handle this sort of treatment. Not to mention some of the chemotherapy agents can be cardiotoxic, potentially causing arrhythmias and other heart-related issues. So this baseline is just to make sure that I'm ready for treatment. And it only sucked because I'm hairy and they had to rip off tape. Time to meet Dr. Shallenberger.
Okay, so you had the surgery, you recovered from the surgery, and so we got nodes.
Yes, sir.
So we wanna control the nodes. So the first thing to realize with this condition is that it's not curable in the sense that we want it to be curable, but it's very controllable.
What do you mean by it's not curable?
Curable meaning that a guy has something and then he no longer has it. Yeah, it's gone, absent. So a guy gets diabetes and then down the line with no treatment at all, he doesn't have diabetes anymore. Doesn't happen, but that would be an example. So controllable is the guy's got diabetes and down the line, he's still got diabetes, but it's not bothering him.
Got it.
And so he's got to stay on his game, basically. Cancers are only a problem because of their growth. That's it. The thing that makes a cancer so dangerous, potentially, is that it won't stop growing. And at some point, it creates a problem. Another way of putting this is there are cancers that are referred to as latent or occult cancers. You can look this up. And these are cancers that are found in the body accidentally. They've been there for years and years. The reason nobody ever found them is they're not growing.
Got it.
So it's all about growth and growth control. So just remember that. That's what this whole thing is about. You've got a cancer in your body. If your immune system can control it from growing, it's not a problem. If your immune system can't control it from growing, then we got to come up with something else to deal with it. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
Cancer, the body responds much better to cancers when they're tiny. the bigger they are, the less response you're going to get. Okay, if you have cancers, and we assume you do. I don't know that you do, but it's probably a pretty good bet. It's tiny. If you've got a cancer in your body, it's really tiny.
Because it didn't show up on the CT scan?
It's not showing up, and they didn't see anything at surgery.
We had positive margins, though. Does that make you nervous?
Well...
Nervous.
I don't get nervous to the extent that, it's a control situation. You can be nervous about anything, but it's control. You got to control the growth. If it's there, fine. If it's not there, that's fine. But whatever it is, you just want to make sure it doesn't go anywhere with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So that's the overall picture, the big picture.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Have you seen appendiceal cancers before?
Yeah, not as early as yours. I normally seen them when they go out and they do whatever they're going to do with normally they would give you chemo. And they give the patient chemo, and then the chemo doesn't work. Unfortunately, a lot of times I get patients, it's when they're failures from the conventional stuff.
Got it.
And they come in and they're all screwed up, and I'm trying to do what I can do, and that's not always successful.
Sure.
Yeah. But what's good about you is you're a virgin case here. You haven't screwed it, nothing's screwing you up. I'm surprised as hell you got this anyway.
Yeah,
a healthy guy like you, how the heck did you come down with this? Weird.
Yeah.
Any theories?
No. I mean, I was a binge drinker, alcoholic for a number of years, drank on an empty stomach a lot.
When was the last time you were doing that?
15 months ago, 16 months ago.
Well, that might have been a trigger. I don't know.
Off and on for like a decade of that sort of problem.
That's possible. But you didn't get a vaccine or anything.
No. Childhood vaccines.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you came down with it. It would be really nice if we had a clue as to how you came down with it. You haven't been stressed out or anything?
No more than I think everyone is.
Your diet's been okay?
I think it would be considered a really, really healthy diet compared to the average American.
Yeah.
Not a really, really healthy diet compared to like some hyper healthy whole food based people, but pretty good.
And you're in really good shape.
I'm in really good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so cancers are weird. How did they survive in that body of yours? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
And so that, on the one hand, that's a strength of yours. On the other hand, if you look at it, you say, well, some guy had a hand in there.
Yeah.
And maybe it was the drinking. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think there's reason to be optimistic for me personally that this can be managed?
Yeah, I think it could be managed. Yeah, so if you look at statistics, I don't know if you looked at statistics, but if you were to look at statistics, and the oncologists, they have all these statistics. I don't have statistics really, but they have all these statistics. And you can look up, if you wanted to, you could go right now to the internet and look up what the 5-year survival rate is of any given cancer. But you got to remember that those statistics are not on people like you. Okay, those statistics are on people who are smoking, eating Twinkies, stressed out, blah, 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 because standard medicine does nothing for that type of stuff. So you're a bit in the driver's seat, but yeah, there's no guarantees about anything.
Sure. Anything else I need to know about what's going to happen?
Well, okay, so the idea is you're going to be here for 3 weeks. Now, I haven't treated your cancers in a way that I can speak with experience.
Sure.
Except for the few cases I've had or the failures, and that's just not a fair deal. But I have treated plenty of cancers, different kinds of cancers, where you have the same scenario. You go in, the margins aren't clean, and there's some positive lymph nodes. And if we get that person early, I have not seen a problem.
And you've treated some rare cancers before?
Well, not necessarily. I'm thinking mostly about breasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like they take the lump out and there's positive nodes.
Yeah.
I'm like 100% with those kind of cases.
Sure.
Yeah.
How does insulin potentiated chemotherapy work?
Good question. Okay, so basically in 2 ways. The one way is that Cancer cells are like all normal cells. They have 4 growth cycles. Okay? So as they're going towards dividing, they go through 4 cycles in that development of dividing. 2 of those cycles are what you call a resting phase. And that means they're not doing anything. They're like sitting there hibernating, thinking it over or whatever. Then they go through an active phase. That's when they're actually doing something. And now chemotherapy only works in the active phase. It won't work in the resting phase. So at any one point in time, if somebody's got a cancer, approximately 30% of the cells in that cancer are in their active phase. 70% are not. So the chemo won't kill those 70%. It only kills the 30%. Which is why you have to keep repeating the chemo. You can't just do one and done on chemo. Because you got to kill the active cells, then you wait a unit of time until the cells in the resting phase have moved out into the active phase. Then you go hit them again, you knock those cells out. But there's still some cells in the resting phase. And you keep doing it until you think you've got it all.
And how long is a traditional cycle of chemo?
You know, it depends. You know, a lot of times they'll do like once a month for 6 months. Sometimes they'll do 3 days a week every 2 to 3 weeks, different cycles. You can go to these books up here, like these kind of books, and you can look up what they do. You know, what the recommended regimen is, and not everybody agrees. You might look up a certain cancer and they'll say, I want this regimen. Another one will say the other. With yours, I think it's FOLFIRI or something like that, FOLFOX or something like that.
And then you chose some other one.
Yeah. And so what insulin does is cancer cells feed off insulin. They love insulin. They like insulin so much they actually make their own darn insulin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so what's up with the insulin? Insulin's an anabolic hormone. It stimulates their growth. Okay? It moves them out of the resting phase into the active phase. So if I give your body insulin, at the same time I give it chemo, I'm going to kill a hell of a lot more cells. Some of the early studies show that it'll move you from 30% in resting phase to about a 60% resting phase.
Almost double.
So I get twice as many cells killed per treatment. The other thing that insulin does is it plays a role in how the cell takes up chemo. Normally, when you get chemo they shoot it in your vein or give it as a pill, it's equally distributed in every cell in your body. It doesn't selectively go to cancer cells. It's equally distributed. So wouldn't it be great if you had a way to maybe focus more of it into the cancer cell and less of it into the healthy cell? Insulin can do that.
I see.
Those are the two advantages to that. So because of those 2 advantages, we can get the same response to the chemo agent with a way lower dose.
And it sounds like way less total sessions. Or are 6 sessions fairly normal for
Yeah, for a guy like you, I'm about like you, I mean, where you've had the tumor substantially removed, debulked, and whatever you have in there is kind of pretty small. For a guy like you, typically 3 weeks of therapy is good by me.
Wow. Well, do you still want me to get a PET scan? I wasn't able to get that done before I left.
Yeah, at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see what we've done with you. So I don't think we've done hardly anything. Did you get a port?
I did get a port.
Okay.
I've never used it, but I got it.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the first thing you look here is the circulating tumor cells. You got 2.4. That's like way low.
Really?
That's a very low number.
Really? No?
A high number would be 5.
Oh, wow.
A really low number is 2.4. In fact, that's a therapeutic number. If I have somebody that's in a 5, we get them down to a 2.4, we're sort of thinking we're in free.
Wow.
Okay, so just give you an idea.
Yeah.
And so we can use that, we can monitor that. And, you know, if we were to see somebody's got a CTC going up, we say that's not so good, we got to jump on that. If we see the CTC going down, we say that's really good, we're on the money there.
Yeah.
So it gives you a way to monitor that. And typically you're going to want to monitor maybe every 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah, okay. Then on your actual tumor, have you seen this thing?
The report?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, and I've had...
So basically they're going to tell me what the kill rate is for all these drugs. So there's cisplatin. You got an 82% kill rate on that. And so all of the alkylating agents, you've got a big kill rate. Your cancer hates alkylating agents.
Are those considered traditional
That's what's
chemo?
in Folfox, by the way.
Yeah.
So you got oxaliplatin. That's one of my favorites. In as much as it's just, I've had good experiences with it. All the platins are toxic. They accumulate in your body. So what we do is when we put the drug in, we wait a few days, then we take it out so it won't accumulate on you.
Got it.
So you don't get neuropathy or anything from it. But these platin drugs work great on you. Then on the other hand, the topoisomerase drugs like Gemzar and such don't work very well on you at all. And then you go over here, and then you came up pretty good. Abraxane works good on you. However, it's like $1,600 for an ampule. So we tend to go with the cabitaxel. Not so bad, but like vinyl is a common drug that we can use, but it's not going to work on you. Pemetrexed is a good one. The methotrexate is a classic, and that you can take as a pill. So that's an option down the line. That's an easy thing to do. And we can work around methods. There's some toxicity associated with it, but we can work around it pretty well. And let's see, these are what you call biological agents. I don't really get into those so much. I don't think they're all that great. Some more biological agents. And then what you do is you can go here and you can look at the various gene expressions. So for example, you got a P10 gene. P10 is a tumor suppressor. It suppresses tumor. That's its action. Okay. What this means is that 20% of your P10 is not working that well. It's mutated. And so then we can go and we can look up what kind of natural substances, like dietary substances, polyphenols, what kind of natural things can upregulate P10. And so I can look at the genes here and start coming up with something that you can do mostly natural at home to keep the growth down and get your P10 back working up. Another one is mTOR. Let's see what you do on mTOR. You're not that bad. We'll see mTOR cases that are 60%.
What does mTOR mean?
It's mammalian target of rapamycin. You asked? Have you ever heard of mTOR?
Yeah, but I wouldn't have been able to answer the question.
Okay, yeah, okay. So it's a gene that suppresses cancers. You got lots of genes that suppress cancer, and if they mutate, that makes you more vulnerable to getting cancer. So mTOR doesn't like fasting. mTOR doesn't like resveratrol. It's a whole bunch of things. It doesn't like fisetin. It doesn't like any polyphenols. All the stuff that's in fruit and vegetables, it doesn't like that. So you can upregulate your mTOR by doing all those things. So if you look at these genes, which I haven't done yet, but I'll come up with a game plan for you.
Okay.
That's targeted towards these genes. Here's like COX-2. The thing that inhibits COX-2 would be like curcumin. Also aspirin. Aspirin wouldn't be a bad remedy for you. It inhibit COX-2. And basically that's where we can go through the genes and see if there's anything here that we need. So this matrix protein is well expressed here, so we can come up with some remedies that hit that. So this see, I don't have anything really good for angiogenesis remedies, but that I would want to use on you. They're too toxic. But I mean, you have a lot of growth factors. These are substances that are natural to your body that they're going to stimulate everything to grow, including your muscles and stuff you want to grow. But your cancer cell likes them, as most cancer cells do. c-Met is 0 expressed. That's the metastatic gene, so that's pretty good. BCL2 is another gene that we can deal with nutritionally speaking. We can't deal with all these genes nutritionally speaking, but a lot of them we can. So that's the deal. I can use this to come up with the chemo agents that can kill your cancer, and I can use this to come up with a program for you, both a diet and a supplement program that should be able to, keep this thing suppressed. But that's the whole idea.
Okay. Okay. Is there
I had a
anything?
question. You mentioned that fasting was not good for his mTOR.
No, fasting is good.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah,
'Cause
fasting
good
upregulates
against cancer,
mTOR.
right? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's part of the deal too, because when we're doing these treatments, they're going to be on a fast before they get the chemo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was told I can't even have black coffee tomorrow morning before coming in.
That's true. Poor guy.
What's that?
Poor guy.
Poor guy,
No
for
coffee.
sure.
No coffee, no fun.
No coffee, no fun. Is there anything else I need to know from this specific first visit with you?
We have great nurses. You're going to love them.
Yeah.
They're really awesome. And they'll take good care of you. They're going to, when they give you the insulin now, they're going to knock your sugar way the hell down.
Is that done here in the clinic?
Yeah. So when I give you insulin, your sugar is going to go down. Now that's kind of good because cancer cells thrive on sugar. If I could get your sugar down to 0, the cancers would die pronto. Unfortunately, you would too, because your brain depends on that sugar level. So I can't get it down. But as we get it lower and lower, your brain's going to start telling you about it. So you're going to get your blurry eyes. You're going to feel kind of weird. You might slur your words. You're going to feel kind of dizzy, maybe warm. So the nurses are very good at taking you down right to that edge there and letting you sit there for a while, letting those cancer cells suffer. Because when they do that, their membranes are becoming impermeable. They can't maintain, they don't have enough energy to maintain their membrane potential. And so they become weakened. And after you're like that for a little bit, we then go ahead and we flood you with sugar and the chemo at the same time. It's like a Trojan horse effect that takes the chemo up.
How long does a treatment cycle last?
So that, it depends on the patient, but probably from the time they give you the insulin and the chemo, probably you're done with it and you're back to sugar. You'll feel a little wiped out from it, okay? But by the time you leave here, just bring something to eat and they'll tell you all this stuff.
Oh, they're going to tell me this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like cheese and a meat stick.
Whatever the heck you want to eat, I don't really care.
Okay.
Yeah, and just bring something to eat because you got to replenish your sugar, makes you feel a little bit better. You'll be maybe a little wiped out that day, but you'll perk up the next day.
Okay. Cool. Ivermectin. I'm taking it from another doctor gave me a coaching session. But someone up front mentioned that you might be able to prescribe me from a compound pharmacy.
Are you taking it now?
I've been taking
What's
it for
your dose?
3 weeks. 1 milligram per kilogram of body weight. So 85 milligrams a day.
That's plenty. That's a lot. Ivermectin's good. Fenben, those two we use all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's appropriate and you feel comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. I think the dose is probably more than you need.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, Dr. William Mackus gave me that dosage.
He's got you at max dose.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And did they do any markers on you? Do you know? Like a CEA or anything?
I want to say we did every marker.
CA was normal, 4.0.
Okay, how about a CA 19.9?
That was normal too, I think.
Okay. So you don't really have any markers.
We have Signatera.
Is pending, I think.
Yeah. We have Signatera. We did all the markers that we could do we were informed to do.
Yeah, so one of the best markers is just the circulating tumor count.
Which is the one that...
Yeah. Now the other thing is there's something called SOT.
Okay.
SOT therapy uses the same sort of technology they used on the COVID drugs, which is that it uses an mRNA to introduce into your cancer cells, actually uses a virus to introduce into your cancer cells an mRNA that's particular to your particular cancer, so it doesn't get in any healthy cells. So these guys find the markers on your cancer cells, and they design a virus that only attaches to those markers. Okay?
Yeah.
And when the virus attaches to the markers, it introduces into that cell, i.e. the cancer cell, a transfer factor that interacts with the DNA in the cancer cell to produce proteins that kill it.
And where is this treatment, or what is?
Yeah, we can order it for you. It's a no-brainer treatment. It's really good for a guy like you with minimal to nothing in there. We don't use it on bigger tumors or more extensive tumors because the die-off is too big. But for a guy like you, this would be perfect.
Okay.
So we'll do your 3 weeks here.
Yeah.
Then you're on your diet and your ivermectin or whatever else we end up giving you.
Yes, sir.
And then we're monitoring you with CTCs.
What CTCs?
Circulating tumor cells.
Right.
And then we go ahead and give you an SOT, like maybe every 3 months, every 6 months for the next couple of years, just as sort of an extra special, because they're easy to do, 100% non-toxic,
You just
relatively
inject
cheap. It's an IV infusion.
IV infusion. Cool.
Yeah. So
Well, you're making me feel hopeful that I'll be alive in a year or two.
Yeah, don't. They've published papers on this. The one emotion that is associated with poor prognosis is fear.
Oh, I've been riddled with fear.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the one emotion. Anger is the positive emotion with respect to prognosis. Yeah, it's weird.
Pissed off at your cancer. Fight it.
Yeah. So part of the problem is people get scared, and they lose hope, and so you got to get an attitude here.
Okay.
You're in the moment. You're not dead yet.
Yes, sir.
I could get run over by a train tomorrow, and you outlive me be long. So you got to kind of think that way.
Okay.
Just be in that moment.
That's a real thing, that people that are riddled with fear have worse outcomes?
It's a real thing. It's published.
Jeez.
Yeah, you can learn more.
Tell the person that has the cancer, that knows nothing about cancer, not to be afraid of cancer. I mean, it's a tricky thing for a lay person's mind.
It's a manageable position, yeah, but the way they put it out to you, especially the oncologists, it's scary.
Yeah.
They scare the hell out of people.
Yeah, they do.
There's a book that I have copies of by a woman by the name of Brenda Stockdale called, what's it called? I forget the name of it.
No worries.
But she was a social worker with the people at the University of Chicago who were terminal, quote terminal. And it turns out that a number of those people that were terminal weren't terminal. And there's some they gave them 3 months, 6 months to live, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she's doing all her thing with her. And she's written this book and written a number of scientific papers. But she says in there, the people that were scared to death, those are the ones that didn't last.
Any tips for cultivating more courage? Maybe just having faith in my medical team?
Well, I wouldn't do that so much.
Well, I mean, like your clinic, the information you're giving me, your treatment plan. I'm not suggesting that you're giving me any guarantees, but I'm trying to grasp here for ways to feel more.
First of all, you're new at this, so it's shocking.
Yes.
Okay. So a year from now, you'll be an old pro. You probably won't even be thinking about it. But yeah, I don't know that I have any great words of wisdom for you other than to, try and stay in the moment.
Yes, sir.
And enjoy what you have and realize that nobody knows when our number is going to be called. I can't tell you the number of times I've had a couple come in here where one of them's got cancer, maybe a stage 4, and the other one's so upset. The patient's not so upset, but it's the loved one that's upset. And damn if the loved one doesn't die.
What?
Before the patient does. Has a heart attack or gets hit by a car or I don't know what.
Jeez Louise.
But I mean, that has happened. And, you look back and you say, that's kind of ironic. And it just points to the fact that, hey, you don't know when our number's going to be called.
Yes, sir.
And you can do just fine. I don't see a problem here. I wouldn't like it if I had your problem, but it's just another problem.
Okay.
And it's doable.
And you believe in this treatment?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'd be straight up with you. If you had mets all over the place, especially brain mets, I'd tell you the truth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Badass. Thanks for letting us film this, by the way.
Okay.
I've got a lot of followers, 165,000 of them, and I'm thankful. The vast majority of people have never, ever heard of this type of treatment. It's never crossed their radar.
Really?
They were only ever told that you have two options. If surgery is possible, surgery. I'm grateful I was able to have mine. Chemo or radiation, and that's it. It's never ever crossed their radar. So this is giving many people a chance to know that this place exists.
Our system, the system that we have here, is predicated on the fact that we're not trying to get anybody well. Now that's weird, right? Mm-hmm. No, but that's the business model. It's like having a hotel. Your business model is you got to fill the rooms. If you don't fill the rooms, you're going to go down. So our business model is to keep you sick for as long as we possibly can so we can sell you drugs and make money. That's the business model. It's a little ridiculous to say, but that is absolutely the business model. That's the way it works out. Yeah. So somebody gets cancer and they'll go see the doctor. The doctor will never, ever talk to them about why they got the cancer. No. What led up to this.
Yeah.
And what does everybody fear? They're going to fear that the cancer is going to come back.
Right.
Right?
Right.
They never talk about that. If you don't know what caused it, how are you going to deal with preventing it from coming back? You got it once. You get it again.
Yes, sir.
So you got to look at, why did I get this cancer? So you can examine that for yourself. But you gotta hit the why and the cause, and we can do that. With a lot of this time, we can do that.
Well, you're a badass. I'm glad I found you. Yeah.
That's very doable. Don't freak out.
Yes, sir.
You'll be fine.
All right. Thank you.
Well, that was a hell of a visit.
That was a hell of a visit. How cool was that visit with Dr. Shallenberger?
Absolutely incredible. So, I just had one major highlight.
Sure.
You gotta kill the fear.
Yeah, I took that away very much from that visit.
Yeah.
Well, I feel, by the way, I think I would have felt less afraid, regardless of him saying that, just for having spoken with him and having that conversation.
Yeah. I think what he made clear is that some cancers, you don't talk of cure, just like you don't talk of curing diabetes.
Sure.
You live with insulin to keep your diabetes in check.
Right.
You will live with this cancer for the rest of your life, keeping it in check. And he mentioned so many tools, some of which we were aware of and one that I'd never even heard of.
Nor have I.
That sounds highly effective, what he was saying.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a massive tumor. The big bulk surgery was done.
Right.
Cells, he knows how to take care of that.
Right.
So we'll maintain it.
Yeah.
And actually, everybody watching, we all have cancer cells now and then.
Yeah.
And our immune system suppresses them until it doesn't, and then you end up with a cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
So, no, that was very reassuring.
It was a very reassuring, informative, normal conversation. I think that's the type of conversation that many cancer patients are not afforded.
Yeah.
They're not afforded an open-minded, science-driven, calm, casual, easy to follow and understand conversation, about their cancer. That's just not something that I got when I had my chemo visit my oncology visit with the doctor that was provided to me.
Yeah.
I wasn't given an opportunity to consider anything. I wasn't given the opportunity to understand how anything works. I don't know. That was just refreshing, and it was nice, and it was a gift of the people supporting this channel, and for you, obviously.
This would not have happened without that.
Absolutely. So thank you for supporting the GoFundMe. I'm having dreams of being like a fundraiser or a charity hub to sponsor people down the road. Yeah. Not to virtue signal in advance, but it's popped into my head. that every cancer patient should have the chance to sit down with an integrative oncologist or an integrative doctor who does oncology differently and chemo differently, to at least see what's out there and see what might be best for them. Not to say it's the best, but just what might be available.
Yeah, have access to these other tools.
So yeah, it sounds like tomorrow's going to be interesting.
Yep.
I'm really curious about the dropping my insulin so low, and maybe you catch some footage of me.
He talked about dropping it so low that you might be delirious. And they asked me to stay with him. You were thinking I was just going to drop you off. And they're going, not first day. This is where we figure out how low can we get you without pushing you over the edge. Bring food. We may have to bring you back up. You know, all that kind of stuff. So it should be a fun day.
Should be a fun day. That was hope-giving for me, and I'm really grateful. I'm going to take what he said to heart. Kill the fear. Fear is not good for cancer.
You know what he said that was intriguing to me, and I wouldn't have intuitively guessed this.
What?
He said anger is good.
Yeah, he said anger
so I
is
think
good.
because when you're angry, you're directing positive energy towards the fight.
People that are angry are vivacious. People that are angry are energetic.
Right.
So maybe directing some anger at the cancer.
Yeah. I always thought anger was a negative emotion.
Maybe in this instance, it can be leveraged for good.
It's certainly better than being submissive and hopeless.
Right, and I've definitely been battling with submissiveness and hopelessness.
Yeah. So
I've been envisioning my own death every day, all day since this happened. I see myself in the hospital bed in hospice. I imagine saying goodbye to you and Jesse and Mom. I literally have seen it 1,000 times in my head.
Oh, well, it's time to turn that around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was cool. That keeps me very present, very focused. I'm just glad for that visit. That was really, really wonderful. I wouldn't have guessed it was going to be quite that awesome. Just as far as how it made me feel emotionally.
Yeah.
You could tell that dude's talked about cancer a million times. I loved that he saw my 2.6 and was like, oh.
Oh, yeah. So that's the cell count that you get on your RGCC report.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that thinking, that doesn't seem like very many cells. I mean, in a whole milliliter of blood, there's only 2.6 cells. And he verified that because I had no perspective to put it in place. But he says, yeah, if he can get somebody down to a 2.6, he's happy.
Yeah, sometimes like people start at 4 or 5.
That's like treatment success.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was great news.
Great news. We're going to learn more about ozone therapy in future meetings with Dr. Shallenberger. We're going to learn more about, he just casually brings in oxidizing vitamin C.
Ozonated vitamin C.
Ozonated vitamin C.
Oxidized is much more lethal to cancer cells.
Is that what they're doing for me at the other clinic?
I'm not sure. We'll have to verify that.
He just mentions that they're going to do that. It's going to change colors. I'm like, what? So I think we're going to learn a ton these next 3 weeks. We'll learn it together. Boy, am I curious. I'm so funny. I'll end it with this. When he was like, oh, you're new to this, like in a year or two's time, he talked about me being here in a year or two.
Oh, you will be.
And I believe him. And I believe him. I wanted to believe you, but I believe him that in a year or two's time, God willing, I do all the things I'm supposed to do. I should probably be here.
Oh, you'll be here.
And it felt really good to hear that. It was like, whoa. Because where our brains go in the quiet of the night as new cancer patient, as a new cancer patient, is it can be crazy where we go. So it's like, oh yeah, you'll be used to all this. It won't be such a big deal. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, in the waiting room, we sat and talked to a guy who's been coming here for 20
years.
Yeah. So that's maintenance.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a death sentence. It's a scary thing initially, but like you said, in a year or two, this will be old hat, like, whatever.
All while still saying I can't promise anything, so it's not like he's an eccentric. It's not like he's...
Oh, yeah. No, he was very careful.
He's very careful. And he even said that if he saw my case and...
Well, he said, if I would be honest with you, if you had Mets all over your brain, I'd be telling you what the prognosis looked like.
Yeah.
But you don't.
Yeah. Anyway, this is wild. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Again, show Dr. Shallenberger and my dad so much love, because we're very lucky to have them on the channel. Otherwise, it would just be me.
Cheers.
Cheers, Dad.
Here's to a successful journey in the new center.
Kind of unassuming looking.
Yeah, it's real simple, but it's its own little building, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
It's kind of southwest look.
That's a good way to put it.